Welcome to Paxton Road TV. This is the Paxton Road TV reaction show for the game Southampton versus Tottenham Hotspur. I'm Sam Spurs for life. The score: Southampton 1, Spurs 1. A disappointing result, disappointing performance. I think that's safe to say, given the fact that Southampton were down to 10 men from the 39th minute of the game. I'm just looking at my stats here. But we have to go through and do this reaction show. I'm joined in the house by Sean Hurl. I've got also Christina Zandes and Chris from Let's Talk Tottenham. Good afternoon, guys and girls. Sean, you're just slightly above the thing, so I don't know if you can adjust your camera slightly or I can take the banner off you because can't see your lovely face. There we go, and the hat as well. Now he's there, fully involved, fully in the show. We can now begin better than that. Okay, so before we start, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Comments down in the comment section below. Okay, who wants to start? Let's start off with you then, Christina. Welcome back to the show. What did you think of the performance? What did you think of the result? Obviously, the result is not good, but what did you think of the overall performance, team selection, etc.? How do you think we did today?
I'll say off before, when I looked at the lineup, I thought, oh, he's refreshed it, made a little bit of change. I like it. This is how I think Conte is going, a bit refreshing to see that. But then the end of the result, not good. And I don't even think, I can't pick one person that played well today. I think it was just a really poor performance in general from Tottenham. There's, I guess, in some ways, is this a way to pick the players that we do not want in our team anymore? I'm going to pick out Dorothy, or aka Doherty. I call him Dorothy because I just think he's absolutely awful.
Maybe smell that as.
It's, you know what, this is going to be one of them games that we're going to look later on in the season and think that was one we should have got 3 points from. We're going to be kicking ourselves definitely later on. Yeah, really, really poor, guys. And annoyingly, we got 10 men. How did we not get a result? Same time, Southampton are not an easy team to beat. They've only lost one game at home, I believe. So it's not an easy team, but they were down to 10 men. And if we are a serious team that want to be, performing, getting into top 4, these are the type of games that we should be winning. So disappointed.
Very, very good overview and analysis of that game, because like I said, I think we both said before the game we're expecting a couple of changes. I expected Winks and Nally to start, as you were saying, Christina. Both of them did start. Sean, I'll come to you next before I come to Chris. What did you think of the game? Because I said I've got plenty to say on it, but I want to get everybody else's thoughts first before we start to really delve into the matter. What was your initial thoughts?
Yeah, it's a very disappointing result. It's a very disappointing performance. I'm not quite as down on all the players as Christina is, but I think certain players, didn't justify their inclusion. I was very confused that Conte brought on a left-sided winger as a wing back and played him on the right-hand side. That to me seems strange when he had Dorothy, as we now like to call him. Like a fish out of water on the left-hand side. And there were to be fair, that there was space down that side. If we'd had a left-footed player, I'm sure we would have exploited that later on. But no, I thought I was watching the usual Winks haters giving him a hard time. Yet who was the one that put the ball through, which someone got chopped down on? Who created the Harry Kane goal, which was chalked off on VAR for the most marginal decision again? I think it was Winks, and I thought he justified his inclusion today. I'm afraid the Winks Nations is on, Sam, and but yeah, we were very toothless, and I've lost count of the number of times people said Moore as an impact player. I didn't see much impact from him today. I thought it was very disappointing, but I couldn't. I for one can't understand why Hojbjerg lasted 90 minutes. He was pants. Pants.
Before you continue, we've got Asby's joining us in the house. Here he is. He's late, but he's here, and he's He's got a smile on his face, but
he's too busy in the WhatsApp
we'll soon
chat.
take that smile off his face. Mark.
Dealing with Sid in a WhatsApp group. Oh, you.
Right, before we come back to you then, man, let's go to Chris. Chris, tell me your thoughts.
I agree with Sean. I thought Winks played quite well. He's obviously not the greatest player that we've got, but he's looking forward every time, looking forward to pass the ball forward. And I was arguing with someone on Twitter saying that he did nothing in the game, and the goal came from a Salisu mistake. But you know, who put the ball in there for Salisu to make the mistake? But apart from that, yeah, it was. I think it's very hard in that second half because Southampton down to 10 men kept everybody behind the ball. So unless you've got an Eriksen type player who's going to play those cutting balls very quickly, you're going to struggle because you're against the brick wall and against essentially 9 players and a goalkeeper. We were unlucky as well because that's never a foul on the goalkeeper. Kane's goal, I'm not sure that was offside. They gave it as his head offside, but on another day, VAR maybe gives that. But yeah. But again, when you're down to 10 men and they've got everyone behind the ball, you've got to play quickly. You've got to play those balls quickly. And you know, like Dorothy on the left hand side, he hasn't got a left foot. But he had to take Reguilon off really, because one more challenge from him, I think he'd have been off. Yeah, it's just really disappointing. And like you said, Sam, in the back room, we could have lost it at the end. It was just a good challenge from Sanchez, but. Yeah, it's just really disappointing. And like Christina says, we probably will regret that game when we look back at the end of the season and where we finish, and certainly if we miss out on top 4 by a couple of points.
I'm gonna come to Mark in a minute. I thought, let's not forget the first half. I don't think we were good in the first half anyway. The reason being, Southampton pressed us. You could see they had a lot of energy. They were pressing us all over the pitch. I still not quite sure why Hojbjerg is continuing to start. He looks tired. To me, the guy's played X amount of games, as we talked about, from last season all the way through to he needs a break. He kept dropping into that back three, and we didn't have anybody further forward because Winks is supposed to play that. So if you're going to play this 4-3-5-2, which we did, which is supposed to have the 1 and 2 in front, play there. Dele Alli was doing that, but if you watch the game, Hojbjerg was so far deep that every time we were getting pressed, they were winning the ball higher up the pitch. At least if we're going to get pressed, let them do it further into their own half as opposed to in our half. And that set the whole tone of the game. We weren't quick enough to pass that ball. And then when we had the opportunity to go for them, they did have 10 men and they were playing so deep, you didn't got to bring players on who were going to affect it further up the pitch. I don't know why we kept Hojbjerg on and Winks, who weren't going to play higher up the pitch. Dele Alli got taken off. I know he brought more in. That was probably the right decision to make. But where's Ndombele? Where is he when we need somebody who's going to be able to create opportunities with a deep line defense? Because they were basically playing 4-4-1. Do you know what I mean? And it's like they were so close together. All the players should have been playing in that half. We shouldn't have had no players in our own half in that second half, pretty much. We should be pressing so far forward. And that's where the disappointment comes with the selection of players in that second half. And what we were doing playing, as you said, Dorothy on that left side, and then bringing on Hill to play as a right wing back. Why not just swap him, put him on the right-hand side, make Ben Davies a left full-back and play 4, and then play all them players, put a 4-2-4. Do you know what I mean? It was not enough impetus for me for the players to win that game. Mike, what's your thoughts on the game?
Just a frustrating one, really. I thought Southampton started very well, to be fair. And up until that sending off, they just smothered us, didn't they? And whenever, like you said there, when we had possession, we were so deep that them smothering us just made our lives that much more difficult. Like you say, if we were further forward, if we had a few more, maybe another attacker on the pitch, if we're getting pressed further up the pitch, then it's a different kettle of fish. You can give the defence a little bit of a breather, but that first 35 odd minutes, up until that sort of sending off, they pressed us well. They had a lot of energy. I think they made 6 changes, didn't they, from the West Ham game? So the fact that,
and they changed their formation.
You could see that
they played 3 at the back as well.
Yeah, and you could see that they had a lot of energy, which, I mean, for them, when you look at it from their perspective, yeah, what they were doing in the first half was great. But from our perspective, I thought Winks had a good game. To be fair, I'm not gonna criticise him. I don't think he played bad. He got the ball. He's forward thinking. He didn't dwell on it. I thought the back three.
Oh, he did once in the first half. To be fair,
yeah, I'm not gonna kick him for that. The back line stood firm even when we was under a lot of pressure. I mean, I know you could argue Dyer towards the late on almost cost us, but Sanchez got across. I just think, and I think Chris mentioned it, when you're up against 10 men and you're playing on a narrow pitch at Southampton, they were just basically camping on their 18-yard box. And if you're going to play, there's no point playing a ball over the top because you're just hitting a crowd. I mean, how many times do we have a shot and it's either Walker Peters is heading it away or they're blocking it? It's tough to break. It's tough to break a team down when they're just sat on that 18-yard box, unless you've got, like Chris said, unless you've got someone like Ericsson, who I think even he would have probably struggled to create something when you've got those many bodies just defending for their lives. Because as soon as they got the ball, all they were doing was just booting it beyond the halfway line, just so they could regroup and catch a quick breath and then defend again. You could argue that perhaps we were, like, I can't remember who said it, but it might have been Sean. Perhaps we could have taken off Højbjerg. Perhaps we could have taken off Winks and played a couple, like Ndombele probably would have been ideal for this game to try and make something happen. But it's one of them afternoons, isn't it? We're going to get in games of football. Not everything's going to go our way, so you just got to sort of pat yourself down and go again. I mean, I don't think Kane's. I mean, VAR is good, but Kane's offside. I think they ruled him offside for his shoulder or something. I mean, his feet were further behind than the last man. I mean, where's the advantage? There's no advantage there. I know it's by rules of VAR, no matter if your fingertips beyond that back line, if you're offside, you're offside. But it's nonsense. And that foul on the keeper. Don't, mate.
Goalkeepers get that all the time, though. Goalkeepers get that every single time because it's an easy decision for the referee to make.
Yeah, he fumbled it, and I think someone said. I think one of the commentators said if it had gone to VAR, I think they said they wouldn't have penalised.
Yeah, that was Mark Clattenburg, wasn't it?
Was it Clattenburg?
Yeah, I think they went to him afterwards. But
so it's just a frustrating afternoon. I think that's all we can. I don't think we played bad. I mean, we had 21 shots on goal, didn't we? 11 on target, 7 or 8 corners, whatever it was. I mean, we could have walked away with defeat.
I don't think we played well. I don't even think it was 39% possession we had after 19 minutes, and that didn't really change much until they got their players sent off. So Southampton were clearly better than us in that first half. The problem I've got is when they go down to 10 men. Yeah, when they go down to 10 men, the second half I didn't expect them to press as well, but they didn't press anywhere close to it because they had 10 men. So if you're only playing a 4-4-1 system, you don't need 3 centre backs. Or if you have 3 centre backs, you push one of them as far at the pitch as you need to push them. Only did that with the last 10 minutes of the game when we're trying to chase after 8 minutes. That's what I saw. Sanchez up there, I saw Dyer up there. But why not do that? Take a gamble. Or if you're gonna not play with the 3, or if you are gonna play with the 3. Maybe change your system. Maybe change your system to a 4 because we don't need to have 3 centre backs versus 1 forward. I could understand if it was 4-4-2 and they were playing deep. That's a bit different with 2 players up front. You might need to have a bit more protection, but you don't need to have that much protection with 1 player. You can have 2v1 and should be able to cover that. The fact is we didn't do enough with the players on the pitch in forward positions to create opportunities because you can play around them and you can play through and you can take shots off. If the lines are that close, everybody, as I've mentioned, should be in that half and we throw bodies and make it very confusing. Don't think there was enough urgency until the last 10 minutes of the game. So my point is, if that's... Sorry, Chris, go on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I also think the frustrating part is you've got to make, certainly in that second half, Southampton think. Every time we got the ball, it was wide and crossed into the box. Southampton know that, you've got to have some long shots there. Give them something to think about. Say, okay, right, they're not just going to hoof it into the box from wide positions where we've got 9 people. We are going to have to close them down and commit people to that. Whereas we didn't do that at all. Someone like an Ericsson would have done that. And in the Poch area, he used to have pot shots all the time. There's so many opportunities where Højbjerg could have had a long shot, even a Kane. But it was always wide. It was always wide. And then Southampton know we don't have to close you down. You're going to get it wide. Just get people in the box and stay compact. Whereas if you have some long shots, when you get into that position 2 minutes later, they may think, okay, well, we've got to. Someone's got to close them down because they will have a long shot. That frees up some space in the penalty box. But we didn't do it at all.
Who do you want having the long shots though? I don't want Højbjerg taking a long shot because it's going into a different postcode.
It's not that though. It doesn't matter if it goes. Obviously, we won't be happy if it goes onto the corner flag or whatever. But it's just putting in Southampton's minds that okay, if we don't close them down, they will have a long shot, or they'll put it in the box, or they'll put it wide, or they'll try a through ball. It was just too predictable. That's what you have when, even though Winks, I thought, played quite well playing forward. He's not an Eriksen. He hasn't got that nous and that cleverness that an Eriksen would have of knowing how to speed a game up, slow it down when you need, and then to make teams think. So you need to have some long shots, even if it's a terrible shot and an awful shot, just to make them think, okay, well, they're not just going with plan A until the final whistle goes. We've got to close them down. That leaves gaps. But that isn't a new thing. We've been doing that for a few years now. It's even sometimes in the Pochettino era, we seem to be scared of long shots. Certainly in the Jose era, we seem to be scared of it. But yeah, you've got to be a bit more clever and yeah. If there's certainly because we had a few headers, didn't we? But again, like Kane at the end, the defender did enough to make sure it was pretty impossible for him to score because the only place he could score was near post where Forster was pretty much standing. But yeah, just when you're 11 versus 10, you've got to drag the 10 around. And that obviously knackers them out. But then you've got to drag them around because they're short-numbered anyway. And then if they have another person dragged out, then they're even more short-numbered. Give them something to think about. And it's just a bit too predictable. But that, for me, comes without a creative midfielder, an Eriksen-type player or someone like that. But if that was Man City, De Bruyne, Foden, Bernardo Silva would have absolutely run that game, and it would have been a fairly comfortable game because they'd have made Southampton think, they'd have dragged them all over the place. And then, obviously, they've got the cutting edge up top when they do get chances.
Add one more point to your point about the shooting. That's one thing that they could have done to try and create a different mindset for Southampton. The other thing is we played two inverted fullbacks, wingbacks, in the Doherty on that left-hand side. And then when we brought off Emerson, we brought on Hill, who's left-footed. So they're inverted. So they're always going to cut inside on their stronger foot to cross. Makes it even easier for a deep-lying team to say, okay, I know you're not going to go on the outside of me too often and cross with your opposite foot. You are going to cut back in. Predictable. When you've got that predictability, with that, that's what they want you to do. So again, swap them two round. If you're going to do that,
Hill did swap over towards the end, but it's only for 5 minutes, wasn't it? It was swap them over every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, swap them over. Gives the team something else to think about. But yeah,
Christina, I'm just going to ask you, Christina, what else do you think, with hindsight, do you think that could have made a difference in that game today, in your opinion?
I actually thought the players seemed to lack confidence as well this game. I don't know. It was just like every shot was just so off. And even before they even took the shot, it was like there was so much fumbling going on. It was like, what was your plan? Like, I didn't understand it considering like how we played in the previous games. It was just a bit of a mess. And I totally agree with Gil and we should have just had just a bit more creativity. It was very predictable, as you guys said, very, very predictable. And it just cost us massively this game. It's really disappointing now. Like in general, just the fact that we actually got 1 point off this game. We should have had 3. The decisions that were made, we'll be completely having a different, conversation right now. That's the annoying thing as well. But yeah, Tottenham.
Sean,
I feel like we're cursed because it's like
Winks said that.
So I was going to say, every time we're singing about us getting battered, we seem to be progressing, and now they've stopped it, and it's like, start singing it again.
I thought Winks had a good game. I don't personally think Winks had a bad game. There's no head and shoulders players for us today. I think Harry Kane did well. Winks, again, played in that role, and he was playing forward. You could clearly see Conte's told him play forward, because I've not seen him in the last couple of times that I've seen him play. I've not seen him play as much that sort of style of football I've done for a couple of years. So I think he was justified in his selection today. But there was still opportunities to maybe get 2 more players further forward, and Hojbjerg didn't do that. So I just want to know from your perspective, in the team selection, hindsight again, do you think it was the right selection to have the midfield 3 as Winks, Hojbjerg and Dele Alli to start?
Is that for me?
Yes, for you, sure.
Hindsight, as I say, is 2020. But I would. I mean, head and shoulders, Skip is better than Hojbjerg, and I think he would have linked us. He would have, given what his performances in his last few games, he should have been a substitute, a second half substitute. I'm very disappointed in Dele. I thought, having done so well against Liverpool, that he was, on the back, but he seemed to get, kicked out of the game. He allowed himself to be kicked out of the game. Normally he would like it when it was a bit physical, but I just thought he was so subdued today, and I'm not sure whether I don't think he did himself any favors today. So he was rightly hooked, but he wasn't. It was good. I would have kept him on and replaced Hojbjerg first of all. But yeah, I think that was too much of a change in midfield. The only one who justified his inclusion today was Winks.
I think
Dele made a few good.
Mike, go on, you guys. What was that?
I was just saying,
I'm just going to get up the stats for today.
I think it was too congested in the middle of the park, especially like the first half. I think we should have gone 3-4-3 just to give ourselves a bit of space, because it was just the middle of the park just felt like it was congested and jam packed, and that's why I think he likes. I mean, Deji didn't have a great game, but he was making the right runs. You could argue that
Kane should have found him earlier as well. He just overhit it. He's 1-on-1 if he passes that completely.
There was a couple of times where Dyer was looking for him, but because it was so congested in there, the ball was getting cut out. The idea was right, but people were able to cut out just because there was bodies in that midfield. And as I say, you could argue maybe Dyer should have thinked it over, but then you're looking at, we're just going long ball, and that's not going to work against the Southampton team. That's going to be quite happy to defend balls in the air rather than on the deck. But it's just
it's right in the first half when they were pressing, because when they were pressing us, that was the opportunity to play a little bit longer, because there was some points where I saw 4 players of Southampton around one of ours, and even that was when they had 10 men. So if you've got 4 players pressing, which is a real attacking, aggressive thing to do, it needs a little bit of trickery, an end on belly to get out of that, and then you're going to have at least 3 players free, and that was the problem. We weren't able to find them their players because they pressed well. I'm not going to deny they did press well, but we know that this is what teams do. Teams. It's not like the first time a team's pressed us, you know what I mean? So it's that sort of stuff where, getting that ball out and then getting it to somebody in those sort of spaces. I don't think we created enough space today for ourselves to be able to do that. So it's one of the things. I just come to the stats here.
It's not a big pitch though. It's a small pitch when you think about it. Like you compare it to our home ground. It's much narrower. It's more compact. So I think if Southampton, which, like you say, they changed their formation, which I think they've probably changed it just to match us up, but and it worked because they were able to press us and match us they matched us for everything really in that first 35 minutes. But you can on hindsight, you can look at this however you want. I mean, you could argue that perhaps we could have started off with 3-4-3 just to put an extra man against that back 3. That would have been. Would Southampton have gone 3 at the back if we've gone 3-4-3? I don't think they would have. I think they would have changed it around. But you could argue, and we could debate till the cows come home about what we should have done or what Conte should have done. Was the team selection the right thing? Should he have gone with the same team that beat Palace 3-0? Should Tanganga got a start? It's all hindsight, isn't it? I mean, the positive that we could take away of it, at least we didn't have all that possession and then we end up bloody losing 2-1 right at the death. But again, we should have put this game. 21 shots on goal. We should have put this game to bed. But
This is against.
Conte will learn.
I still go to the point. They were better than us in that first half, even up to the point of the sending off. So I'm not sure 11v11 if it would have been these stats there. I'll just go through the stats anyway.
No,
Southampton, possession-wise, 35-65. Sorry, Chris, I'll come back to you in a minute. 35% to them, 65 to us. Shots, 9 to them, 22 for us. On target, 2. Shots on target for us, 11. That tells a story in itself. Corners, 3. Corners to us, 7. 15 fouls and 5. So, Chris, you just wanted to make a point, and then I wanted Christina just to have a look at them stats as well and tell me what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, in terms of Ali, in terms of 11 against 11, I think Conte would have made changes at half time because we were completely out of the races for that first 35 minutes, and the penalty was pretty much against the run of play. But with Ali as well, I think the Liverpool game suited him down to the ground because without a playmaker who's going to play a ball quickly and take people out of the game, he needs space. And Klopp's ridiculous tactics of pushing the fullbacks forward and having no midfielders covering, so it's 2 versus Kane and Son, and then Ali running into a chasm of space, suited him down to the ground. Whereas today, he's closed as soon as he gets the ball. There's no real space, doesn't suit him at all. Without that playmaker who's going to play balls quickly and take people out of the game. So, but then we only played 2 days ago. I know we essentially had the second half off. But it's got to be a bit of rotation as well. So I wasn't upset with the picking of the team because I thought there'd be a few changes. But I think it didn't suit Ali today, whereas Liverpool, with the amount of space that Klopp and Liverpool afforded us, suited him down to the ground. So if we can get a playmaker in January, then you could see a better Ali because there'll be space for him because the playmaker will ping the balls out to Son where he's instantly one-on-one, takes someone out of the game, and then someone has to come over and there's space. But yeah, I think half-time, 11v11, Conte would have made some changes, tactical changes, personnel changes, possibly both. So, yeah, I think we'd have seen a different Spurs in the second half if that penalty and sending off hadn't have happened.
Christina, the tactical change that he had to make, and I'll just come to Christina, he had to, I think it was the right decision. He had to take Reguilon off because they looked like they were going to target him in that second half to get him sent off, which would have evened the game up. But do you think potentially that the wing back area could have been slightly different in terms of how we approached it? Doherty, as I say, I'm going back to Doherty again. I just can't see how he played him on that left-hand side. This didn't make sense. You could have had Ben Davies because they were 10 men. I'm not saying that Ben Davies makes the greatest wing back because I think he could get caught out, but he's the most natural the only left-sided player that we had in that team today. And we were so imbalanced because of that fact that we never had any outlets on that left. Do you think there could have been maybe a slightly different approach formation-wise in that second half?
I'm just shots on target, like 11. That's crazy. The fact that we actually got that. Yeah, I would have put on. I don't know. Would you guys have said that Conte might have got it wrong today?
No, I think he did.
I don't think his selection necessary, but his substitutions, I would say, he got wrong.
I think the substitutions were definitely wrong. I don't know why Ndombele didn't come on today. I really don't know why. That second half, we should have just gone at it and attacked like head force. We should have just done it. I don't know. It's just really mad to look at them stats and to think that we didn't even win this game now. Yeah,
11 shots on target. 11 shots on target. Do you know what I'm saying? So something's he's either had a worldie, and that's what I'm saying. I don't think Forster had a worldie, so something's not quite right there. If the goalkeeper didn't come off with that man of the match, but there was a lot of block shots in there. There was a good few block shots because the Walker Peters, he
Deli's
had
mate.
that one where he blocked it in his head, and Deli's mate. So there was a lot of block shots in there, but still to have that many shots,
there was probably more shots
won the game.
Just
looking at the.
I think Christina said it as well. If VAR does their job, if the Kane offside thing, they're looking at his feet, it doesn't happen, and if they're forced to, the goalkeepers don't get protected. We won 3-1. We've got a completely different outlook, and then we say Conte got it absolutely spot on. Maybe not in the first half, but then he's changed it. And I don't have a problem with managers picking the wrong team or whatever, because there's been millions of managers before. There'll be millions of managers after have picked the wrong tactics, players, whatever. It's how you go about that. And Nuno before literally didn't do anything. That Palace game where we lost 3-0, where he only made 2 subs, springs to mind. But yeah, I think like Christina said, if we got a bit of the rub of the green, we'd be having a completely different conversation now. We'd be delirious and happy that another win, and then we'd be saying Conte got it spot on.
And we have to we can't forget we had 2 goals that were disallowed. So, and like you said,
we had 3. We had 3. Davies was offside. Kane, I'm not sure. And then the stupid goalkeeper one.
So you could argue that would have been 4-1, and that would have been job done. But certainly the 2 in the second half, I still argue the fact that I don't think Kane was offside, and I don't believe that was a foul on the keeper. I just don't get it. But if those goals had stood, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I think the fact that we only played 2 days ago, that should come into consideration. And also, we've come away with this without any injuries, which normally we end up picking up stupid, silly injuries to players. So I'm not seeing this as all doom and gloom myself. I just think it's one of those games, and we're going to have games like this. The other team's going to have games like this and there'll be teams that end up losing against 10 men when they've been like Newcastle, Man United. I mean, Newcastle were unlucky not to get the win there, and then right at the death, Man United, or near to the death, Man United pop up and score. But me personally, I just think we just got to pat ourselves down and take the point and just go on to the Watford game and deal with them. And you never know, the league might be completely different to what it's looking like right now.
So the league at the moment, then we've got 6 in and around us. Arsenal now 19 games played, 35 points. West Ham won today, 19 games played, 31 points. 17 for us, now 30. Manchester United, 17 games, same as us, 2 points behind us on 28 points. As you said, we've got Watford coming up next, who are on 13 points. Sean, in terms of the starting 11 then, let's look at that. Sanchez, Dyer, Davis, as we know, at the back 3, Lloris in goal. Emerson, Reguilon as the wing backs. Reguilon, I think, was okay. He got a little bit caught up in the intensity of things, and then I think with that yellow card, he had to come off in that second half. Winks, Dele, Højbjerg. I think that was slightly different in Højbjerg played on that right-hand side, and Dele kind of played on that left a little bit more. Kane, Son as the 2 up top. At times, we were playing 3-4-3 because Højbjerg and Winks were in the same line, and Dele was playing almost on that left-hand side. So the formation in that is very fluid, and that's the right thing to do. But the pressure that they applied to us was where we needed a player. I didn't see any of these players in here that were able to break lines effectively enough. Winks did it by his passing over the top, but certainly to get out of trouble, beat a press, and then play that, that's where you need the likes of Lucas. That's where you need the likes of maybe even a Brian Hill, but definitely on Dembele. So, Christina, do you think that maybe that I think we needed to make changes, but do you think Conte got the team selection wrong?
I'm sorry, just looking at this. Do you know what? I would have actually, for substitution, I would have changed Son today, you know. Sorry, I'm just looking at this now, and I'm just thinking Højbjerg shouldn't have started. I don't think so. I knew Dele was going to start, but I personally don't think he should have started either. I think he should have been. Lucas should have been on first off, and if he wanted to substitute, maybe switch him up with Dele if the game was going well. And then later on, I would have substituted Son as well because I thought he did actually quite poor today. But yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think Conte got it wrong today.
Sean, what's your thoughts on that team selection?
I mean, I was quite happy enough. I mean, I'd seen that 3 midfielders do quite well against Liverpool, who are a better team than Southampton. But as you say, once the press came on us, we just couldn't seem to get around it, other than with a ball over the top from Winks. I'm just, it's hard to say. I mean, in hindsight, you can say, yeah, X, Y should have happened, but I just think it's about reacting to a press, you know. So if you've got to get, and this is why Sessegnon's injury is really bad, because if Reguilon is, on a yellow card, and and risk of becoming a red card, but we don't have a fullback, on the left hand side, and obviously Doherty is just so right-footed. It was just, it was embarrassing at that time. And as you said, it made us so predictable.
It was easy to see what he was going to do. It just made it too easy for him. Mike, if you look at that team selection, then would you make much changes to that? Again, we're doing the hindsight thing, I know, but we have to kind of look at the selection. I think what Sean was saying is right. Maybe the team selection, you could say, because we played two days ago, we need to make some changes. But the reaction to the changes after seeing how they were pressing us and knowing that they went down to 10 men, what could be different, possibly? Or would you have made anything different? Would have been any different things that you would have done in that second half?
I would have kept that same team, to be honest. I think even with Højbjerg, Skip can't play every game. And if you just go on the basis of just trying to balance it out and sort of give the players, some players like Tanganga, I wouldn't trust him to play 2 days later just because of his injury record. So I think for me, I would have kept that same lineup. I don't think he got it wrong. I think everyone, for me, I would have stuck with that lineup. I think it's good enough lineup to beat Southampton. Like you can look in hindsight, and we would have made changes. But at the start of the game, you don't know how Southampton are gonna come out and what their tactics or game. Well, you would, I suppose, in theory, if you're doing your homework on and stuff. But I think they surprised us by how, A, the fact that they made 6 changes, and B, the fact that the tactics in the formation that they played isn't something that I've seen them play for a little while. So I wouldn't have changed anything. I would have kept it. Perhaps I might have gone 3-4-3, but I would have kept it. I wouldn't have made any changes. I would have even kept Højbjerg in there. I would have taken him off in the second half far sooner than what we did. But yeah,
we didn't.
Well, no.
That was what I said at the beginning of this stream.
Sorry,
how did Højbjerg last 90 minutes?
Yeah, no, sorry, I forgot he didn't come off. I would have, Højbjerg would have come off, but I would have kept the same lineup as the start of the match. I would have kept it, and just the substitutions. You could argue maybe he could have done things slightly different, but again, you're just looking in hindsight, aren't you? And those players on that pitch were good enough to beat Southampton. It's just the fact that we didn't.
2 points dropped is what Talk said. Chris, I know you got to shoot soon, so I wanted to just get your thoughts as well. Again, it's those. We might look back at this and think, blimey, we should have had them 2 points. But I think Mike's got a point. We got a point. There was an opportunity that they could have got that goal very, very late on if it wasn't for that block from Sanchez to get that one over the crossbar, because that mistake that Dyer made was, you don't want him making them in a 90-odd minute, but he did. We've seen it before. They didn't score, so we did get away with a point. Anything else that you might have thought today that you've seen that takes us into the Watford game that you think, okay, we didn't do this today, but going into another game away, how could we maybe approach that Watford game?
I definitely think Højbjerg needs a rest. Played pretty much every game last season, latter stages in the Euros. The mental fatigue with the Eriksen situation for Denmark must have had quite a big effect, and he's pretty much played every game today. And I think the way Winks played, looking forward, I think you can put Skip in for Højbjerg, give Højbjerg a rest, get Skip to do Højbjerg's role, and then Winks do what he did today, trying to look forward. And I think Winks hasn't done himself any harm, I don't think, with his overall play. I know he had that one bit where he turned himself in circles and then lost the ball. But in terms of his overall play, I don't think he's done himself any harm. And I think he's definitely giving Skip and Højbjerg competition for places, which is something that you always need in a football club, competition for places. And I think that means you can give Højbjerg a rest, certainly for the Watford game, and have him fresh for the Chelsea Cup, which I think is the game afterwards. Delhi, unless you've got a team that's going to be open, there's going to be space there. I'm not sure he's good enough on the ball, or
Oh, Chelsea. Chelsea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'd do. But again, it depends on who's fit and everything like that. And yeah, that's what I'd do.
We're going to need to do. We're going to need to rotate players. We've got quite a number of games coming up, but let's get your final.
I think the competition for places. I think.
Sorry, there's a bit of a delay on us, so I'll let you finish.
Because Doherty's played left side, that's where he kept Ronaldo quiet for Republic of Ireland, so he can play there. Obviously, the lack of a left foot is kind of an issue. But yeah, I agree with Sean with Sessegnon being injured is a big blow because that's competition for Region, which is a bit of a shame.
And rotation.
I definitely.
It's only a 10-day injury, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. I definitely think there'll be some business in January. I can't imagine. I bet all the money I own, which isn't a lot, but all the money I own that Conte in his negotiations in taking the job must have said, I need money, I need players in, I need you to make the signings or the outgoings that I say, and otherwise I'll walk. I can't believe that he'd be, okay, Daniel, yes, Daniel, I understand, Daniel, if Daniel Levy says, no, you're not getting anybody. I can't believe that. So I'm adamant that there's got to be some business in January, I think, both in and out.
Okay. Mike, final thoughts, final summation of the game?
Just a frustrating one. I think if you look at the first 35 minutes, if that had gone on for 90 minutes and we got a draw, I think we would have done. I think we probably would be saying, yeah, we got away with that one. But on the balance of it, 2 points is 2 points dropped. We should have converted some of those chances. And yeah, I know we've got disallowed goals, etc. And you could argue if they'd stood, this would be a different conversation. But we've walked away with a point. It's not we can't change anything. I think Conte would have learned a few things from some of the players today. I think he would know what players, if we are playing against a team that do press high and the intensity is high, I think he probably will know what players can cope with that sort of intense pressure. I just see it as just got to move on to the Watford game. I think there's a learning curve for everyone, all the players. I think Conte would have learned a lot from this game, and he's just got to take it. I mean, at the end of the day, we haven't lost. He's just got to take it into the Watford game and learn from this one and sort of go into the next game and get those 3 points, which against Watford, if he gets, as I say, hopefully we haven't picked up any further injuries or anything, but if he gets the team selection right, which there will be changes when we play Watford, I think the midfield three will probably be different. I don't think Delhi and, I think Chris has already said this, but I don't think Delhi and Højbjerg will probably face Watford. Skip will definitely come in. And Lucas Moore will probably start as well. But yeah, we just got to, as I say, dust ourselves down, learn from this game, and move on to the Watford game and get the 3 points in that game, and hopefully don't pick up any injuries.
No worries. Thank you for that. So, Sean, your final thoughts, summation?
Yeah, I think Mike's covered it, really, to be fair. This is a very similar performance to other times that we've travelled down to Southampton at this time of year, and we've come away with defeats in the past as well. So we're unbeaten. We'll take the point. It should have been 3. And can I say, hands up, what a good player Kyle Walker-Peters has developed into. And I think Hasenhüttl needs some credit for what he's done for that boy. Again, one of our academy graduates has gone on to do good things, so that's good. But yeah, move on. Watford Sudoku next, and I fully expect the 3 points this time, because I think Conte will go through them like a dose of salt.
I do too. Christina?
Try and leave on a positive, I guess. Conte's the first manager to remain unbeaten for 7 games now, so times are changing, I guess. But let's bring on January and see what happens. So yeah, that's what I'm going to end on.
So you're adamant that I think we all agree we all need some players in January, depending on how many we're going to get. Chris, final thoughts?
Disappointing because we didn't win, but like Mike says, we didn't lose, and we could have easily lost in that last second there with the dire nonsense. But yeah, hopefully Conte will be upset when and angry that we haven't won. So hopefully he translates that to the players, and we end up having a real fired up performance against Watford and can not kill them off, but a really good first half with a couple of goals lead, and then he can vest a few players for the massive game against Chelsea a few days later, and then we can really go for that competition first at Stamford Bridge, and then give ourselves something good to play for at our ground. But yeah, disappointment.
Yeah.
But on another day, those decisions go for us, and we end up winning that game. So it's just disappointment because we should have won and we haven't.
And I think that's probably what's playing on Conte's mind, the fact that we've got so many games in such a short space of time. Like we've got Watford in a few days' time. After that Watford game, we've got Chelsea in a few days' time. So he's probably thinking he's got to use and utilise the squad just to minimise injuries, fatigue, etc. So I know every team's got the same issue.
We still have to. Yeah, every team's got the same. Probably Watford haven't got a cup game straight after us, but every team's got the similar issue. The only problem I've got is there are some teams that haven't played all the games over Christmas. We had a couple of weeks break before, obviously, all this run up started. So I was all in favour of making changes to that. I would have probably even made more myself potentially, but I just think with the thing for me is the halftime lack of substitutions in a positive sense. And I think Conte will be disappointed because he always uses the phrase, we should be killing teams. When you've got an opportunity to kill a team, you've got to kill them. And we didn't even try to kill them. I think it was lackluster up until the last 10 minutes of the game with a team with 10 men. Let's not get away from that fact. We should have really gone for it, in my opinion, that last 10 minutes, more than we did. But always have the opportunity if they may nick one. They could have nicked one at the end. But 11 shots on target for me to suggest that, we had the shots on target that we should have got, just didn't take our chances. So that's my final thoughts of the game. I look forward to the Watford game in as much as now we have to win that one, I think, and then see what happens after that with the Chelsea game. But before we go, Christina and Chris, just tell people where you can find. I'll start with you, Christina, first. Where can people find you?
On Twitter, moaning about Tottenham.
Nice and simple. Keep it nice and simple. Oh, that's made me smile. And Chris, where can the viewers find you?
Thanks first off for inviting me on. Appreciate it. Let's Talk Tottenham on YouTube or at LTalk Tottenham on Twitter.
Nice one.
Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe to this channel, great channel, and come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs. I think we have to do that. That's, it goes up and down, but I think I do agree with everybody's comments here. We've got a point. We look back and we'll say, right, we've got a point. We potentially could have not come away with a point. Had they had 11, it might have been a different game. I just think Conte will be disappointed that we didn't take all 3 points today. But come on, you Spurs, as you said, we've got another game in a few days' time.
Come on, you
New
Spurs.
Year's Day. So everybody enjoy your New Year's Eve. Don't drink too much or drink too much, whatever the case may be. I'm certainly going to enjoy a couple of drinks right this moment in time. I said that already. So come on, you Spurs. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Christina. And thank you, Chris. and we'll see you all
Cheers.
again very, very soon.